Hello, my name is Tyler Kula. I'm a member here at Lakeview Christian Church. Um, Goodness, where to begin, right? I guess I'll go from the beginning, give you a little background about myself. I grew up in a church family. We would go to church just about every Sunday, as much as we could. And unfortunately, for the most of it, that's kind of where it stopped. We didn't really go over scripture or talk too much about it outside of church. But it was one of those things to where while we were there, we did our best, but then we went home and we were almost like different people. I wouldn't say that we were bad. We still had a good moral compass, but I don't think that moral compass was where it should be. Sundays specifically were great days, and at that point in time, it wasn't because of going to church. Our father worked a lot, and so it was one of the only days that we would get to spend time with him. And so we would get all excited, go out for some Cold Stone or some ice cream, and just spend time together. Because there were some days there that we wouldn't see him for like 3 to 4 days at a time, and I know that was kind of hard. So I guess essentially what I'm trying to say is that for a long time I was a Christian by name only. I didn't live the Christian life. I wasn't really challenged in my faith because I was always just stationary, just content to where I was until I was about 8 to 10 years old. My parents got divorced, and at that point in time, my dad with working a lot, and my mother with doing her own thing, we stopped going to church. Instead of it becoming something that we were going to do, it was necessary, something that we strived to do, it just became an option. If we were feeling up to go to church, we could go to church. But us with being younger boys, we decided that we're just going to stay home. We're just going to do our own thing, and we fell out of it. And a couple years down the road, my mother disowned me. Her lesbian lover did not like me. She did a full 180 from who she once was, and just treated us so different, to the point to where she no longer wanted to see me. My younger brother, she still had contact with. She still had him on the weekends or whenever she could, but she did not want me. And it created this complex in my mind that I still struggle with a little bit, where I feel like I'm not enough, where no matter what I do, I can always be better. I can always do the next best thing. I can always try and find a way to grow, and I didn't do what I was supposed to. And I had, thankfully, some very good people in my life during my childhood to help with that. 2 of those people were my grandparents, and they passed away a year from each other. They were some of the only people that truly felt like they cared. I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but I moved a lot as a kid as well, so I didn't have friends for a long period of time, maybe a year or 2 at a time. And then it was kind of like starting over and over and over, always feeling like I'm on the back foot of things. And when I got disowned, it was like it broke the camel's back. It was too much to bear. I was so angry. I kept lashing out, not necessarily with family, but with the people that are around me and like the school systems. I just tried to push everyone away. If I couldn't love me, nobody else could. And a couple years later, I was about, I believe, 18. I was dating somebody, and she made a bunch of lies up and spread them to her friends. Now the people that I became associated with started treating me differently. So I thought I was making growth. I thought I was getting better. I thought I was getting to a place to where I could be cared for. And then it was taken away again. And it was about 2 months afterwards, I was going through just a seasonal depression where it was like I was just slowly spiraling. It just got worse and worse. It's like digging a hole with no way to get out. And I remember going to church with my father. I should apologize. I missed out on something very important. My stepmother. A couple years after my parents got divorced, probably, 2 to 3 years, my father got married to my stepmother. So for that 2 to 3 year period where she wasn't really in our lives, my stepmother, we did not have God. And she was such a blessing in our lives, she still is. She's not my stepmother, she's my mother. She brought God back into our lives. She made church mandatory. And at the time, we were upset by that situation. So, that's another day that we have to go and do something. That's true love. She stepped in. She stepped in when nobody would. Who raised me like her own. And has always treated me as an equal. I believe she is a big reason why. Well, I believe in God. But flashing forward now to 2 months after all the lies, we were going to a church. I'm not going to say the name, but it was the 5th week in a row that they preached on money. And I just kept thinking to myself, how can they keep preaching on money? We keep giving and giving and giving. And they've done nothing. And I remember on the drive home, we ended up running out of gas, which is funny enough. But my dad and I got out of the car to go get some gas. And I told him right there, I don't believe in God anymore. I said, I don't think I can do it. I'll never forget what he said to me. I would love for all of my heart for you to believe. I can't make that decision for you. That's something that you are going to need to come to on your own. But I will be here with you every step of the way. Gosh, it's so important to have a support system around you. And for a long time, I was in that spot where I didn't believe, or I would tell the occasional person, yeah, I'm a Christian, just so that I wouldn't get questioned anymore. It wasn't until I went to college, of all places, that a change happened. I met my now fiance, and I don't know why. I told her it wasn't important to me to be a Christian. even though I wasn't living the lifestyle, I wasn't living the way I was supposed to. I told her it was important. And she was not strong in her faith. But me telling her that, she decided to sit down, to read, to learn, to try and grow, to try and understand. And it got to the point where she was giving me lessons. Bless her heart. And she told me, she said, I've learned, I'm growing, I'm trying to walk in faith, but you're not doing it. I need you to grow with me. It was the call to action I needed. I told her, okay, let's start. We started going to church services on campus. Relatively infrequently, our schedules made it a little difficult, but we went when we could. And then we went trying to find a couple different churches. I have this complex to where I feel like I need to go above and beyond to talk to people. I need to try and reach out so that hopefully people will reach back out to me. And there was a couple churches that we went to, incredibly nice people. But it felt like they didn't care. And one thing that really stuck out to me, it's so weird feeling like I'm doing an endorsement for Lakeview, but I truly mean it. The first service that we went to, and granted, my fiance, she messaged Jim the pastor just to, like, hey, we're coming, just to see what it's about. But we get there, he knows our names. He comes and speaks to us just as soon as he saw us, really. And it wasn't just him. It was members of the congregation who went out of their way to make us feel welcome. Sometimes when you don't feel like you're enough, it just takes somebody willing to reach out, to give the helping hand, say you are enough. It was so hard because for the longest time I was thinking of the bad things that had happened to me. And I never stopped to look at the good. My grandparents, although I believe they died too young, they did their best to instill faith in me. My father, who bless his heart, was not around as much when I was younger. He did that so that he could provide for us. And as we've grown, he has done his best to try and instill faith in us as we grow. When my mother left, my stepmother came into my life, a more motherly presence than I've ever had. My fiance. If I wouldn't have had the bad things that have happened, it wouldn't have led me to where I am now. And I know I'm sitting here crying in front of you, but like my story, it started off with tears of sadness, and now these are tears of joy. There's something that changes in you when God enters your life. it might seem like it's hard to find a starting point. It certainly can be. But as you learn, as you walk, and as you grow, this is where you realize that, at least for me, although you don't feel like you're enough, God knows that you're enough. And God has been with me and with everyone, whether we realize it every step of the way.